that these technologies, if they work, they're going to help you and me. They're going to benefit the common mwananchi, if I may use that word. And yet the common mwananchi is really not involved in those, the researching going along. And yet we think that if other stakeholders like the publics, even members of parliament, they need to legislate for some of these technologies. They also need to put in resources for the research in these technologies. And so we think that the conversation needs to go beyond the research teams so that a wider range of stakeholders, the beneficiaries, the common mwananchi, but also the legislators, people who allocate resources, people who make laws, they need to be involved so that they understand their role in enabling the testing of these technologies, but also their role in even rolling them out once they are proven to work, if they are proven to work, of course. The big point is that these are still being tested. So we're not saying that any of these technologies, most of them is ready to use, but they need to be developed well for us to know their potential and to be used. African governments especially need to start putting in some good amounts of money for research on health, particularly innovating with technologies that can change health in Africa, because if we don't put in the money, then even the technologies being researched may not be the technologies that Africa needs, right? Because you're not putting in the money. It may be technology that somebody else needs. So if we put in the money, we decide malaria is the biggest challenge. You're going to put in this money and you're going to explore these technologies because we think they have potential to eliminate malaria. So we'll be driving the car as opposed to sitting at the back and waiting for someone to put in the money and then decide which technologies. And of course, the second thing would be for them to put regulatory guidelines in place that are needed to do some of this research. For instance, the work on gene drives, the research on gene drives actually can't proceed in many African countries because the policy and legal framework does not allow for it. So governments have a role in reforming policies and regulatory frameworks for them to provide guidelines on how to do this kind of research that is new so that the research can proceed. So put in the money, look at the legal frameworks and reform them to enable this research to be undertaken.